Hey, what's up guys, Happy Dude here, and we're gonna do some maintenance on this Mazda MX5. The car has now just over 100,000 kilometers, so it's time for some big maintenance. Let's start with changing the air filter. That's the most easy part. So we just unclip these, and then we can access the air filter. So it seems that it's actually not that dirty, so we have very clean air here. I always use man filters because they are very good for their price. Out with the old and in with the new. There are some hinges right there on the bottom where you have to slide the lid first in and then you can close it. That's it, job done. Next up is the oil change. Now I don't see an oil filter on top, so it must be on the bottom. The handbrake is on and it's in first gear. Then we open this up and this, so we don't pull a vacuum when the oil comes out. And the oil drain plug should be right here, so you don't have to remove the bottom plate. It's in this hole right here. Keep the oil pan ready. And there we go. Now the oil filter is almost in the middle of the car. It's right about here. So I'm still going to need to jack up the car. And here's the oil filter. Right there. And then we take the new oil filter and put it on, but first you have to put some oil on the rubber O-ring. And then we put the oil plug back in. The car can now go off the ramp. And now we're gonna pour in some new oil. 5W30 should be fine for this car. There should be 3.8 liters of oil in the engine. Look at that. Perfect. And now we're gonna start the engine and check again. So as you can see, it's still between minimum and maximum, and that's what you want. You don't want it all the way up to maximum, and certainly not over maximum. The oil needs to be between. Okay, the oil change is finished. Now we're gonna do the spark plugs. So we're gonna just pull this off here. Then we unclip these. Just press and pull. Then we take our 8mm socket wrench. Then we pull out the ignition coils. Make sure you put them in the same order. Then we take our 16mm socket. This one is specially designed for spark plugs. There's a rubber seal in there that grabs onto the spark plug. So the old spark plugs are laser iridiums and the new ones aren't. So do you really need these spark plugs? Well, you have better fuel economy, better acceleration, they last longer, and it is recommended when you race your car or tune it. But my mom doesn't race cars. She also doesn't tune cars. In fact, she doesn't drive that a lot, so you can get away with these very cheap spark plugs. But if you want the optimal performance, then yes, take these spark plugs. Now, when you're tightening your new spark plugs, you will feel until you cannot turn any further, and then just give it one more tiny pull and then stop. Seems to be running just fine. They always try to sell you the most expensive stuff, and most of the time you don't really need it. Okay, spark plugs are done. Next job, the brake fluid. And we are just in time to replace it. It's brown, it should be light yellow, but I've seen worse. To replace the brake fluid, I bought this pump right here. Normally it's a two-man job and it's not always 100% air free when you do it like that, but with this it is. You just screw this onto your reservoir and then this pump will pressurize it and the old fluid will come out, the brake calipers, and the new brake fluid will go in. So first we screw this cap on. It's universal, so it should fit any European car. Then we're gonna pour in some .4 brake fluid. Now this has to be very tight. so no air escapes. You also get this little wrench to secure it. And now we start pumping. 2 bar of pressure should be enough. Then we just click it on and you will hear the fluid and the pressure go in. Now, to make my life a little bit easier, I bought a air pressure gun to loosen up the bolts of the wheels and also tighten them. And in French it's called a ballonneuse. But to operate this ballonneuse, I had to buy a very powerful air compressor. And look at it, it has 2 cylinders in a V-block. How cool is that? You guys want to hear it? Alright, let's start it up. That's not the real sound, that's the sound of my V-twin motorcycle. But I had you fooled, didn't I? Now this air compressor has 3 horsepower, a tank of 50 liters, and can fill up 380 liters a minute, and has a max pressure of 10 bar. So it's pretty powerful. This is the first time I'm gonna use something like this, but I suppose you have to put some oil in there. And we're gonna put some oil in here, so the air will actually take some oil with it and lubricate the gun. Okay, the oil is in there. I did need to tighten these, and I also put some Teflon between there, and now it's airtight. Not a single leak, and it works. We're gonna start with the wheel furthest away from the brake pump.
That was fun.
Then we take this off and put this on, and then the old brake oil will go into this reservoir, and then we take our 8mm, and now the old oil is coming out. I'm going to do 4 quarters for each wheel. Alright, done. Don't over tight this. On to the next wheel. And now we're gonna do this wheel, and then that wheel, and then the last wheel is this one. And make sure you still have enough pressure and brake oil. After one wheel is done, always check your reservoir. When we're done, we're gonna release the pressure first, and then we can take this off. I always put the nuts or bolts in my hand first. And always in a cross, so like this. When you turn the nuts on with the air pistol, make sure that you put it on the lowest number. The wheels should be tightened at 106 Newton meters. Okay, brake fluid is now done. On to the next. Now we are going to do the power steering fluid. Most cars don't have this anymore. They have electric motors, but this car still has it. I'm going to suck it out with my vacuum pump that is connected to my air compressor. Let's suck. Wow, it's just like coffee. This should be the correct fluid for the power steering pump. It's the same as for an automatic transmission. As you can see, it's almost empty, but I'm going to move the steering wheel left and right a few times because they're still in the mechanism itself. To make it easier, you can jack up the car, and don't do this while the engine is running. Keep the engine off. Okay, now it's almost completely empty. So let's fill it up. Okay, so it's a little bit over the maximum. That's good. And now I'm going to bleed the system. You just have to start the engine and then turn the steering wheel left and right a few times. That's it. Okay, so the fluid is now lower, so we can add some. Okay, I had to fill it up again, and now I'm going to do a test drive, and as you can see, it's a bit over the maximum because it will get lower. And then after the test drive, you check it again, and if the fluid is still black, then refresh it again until it's red. Okay, so I drove around on a parking lot just in circles left and right. And now, as you can see, the fluid is black again, so I'm going to replace it again. You can do it as many times as you want until the fluid is the correct color. And done. And we're a little bit over maximum. That's perfect. Okay. So that was everything I wanted to show you. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give me a like and maybe subscribe to see more. And you all have a nice day now. Bye.